Hello, listeners. We are your co-hosts, Janine Bailey and Marie Quigley, for the Empower World Coaching and Leadership Podcast. Empower World brings guests who are making a difference to the world to inspire coaches and leaders who lead with mind, heart, and soul. Hello and welcome, listeners, to the next episode of the Empower World Coaching and Leadership Podcast. Today, I'm not here with my wonderful partner in crime, Marie Quigley, but I am here with the wonderful Dasha Dare. And I'm really excited about today's podcast. So Dasha and I met through Damien Goldvarg some time ago, maybe around 6 months ago, I think, Dasha. Yes.
Yeah.
And we've been following each other on LinkedIn since that time. And I have really appreciated Dasha's posts that she's been putting out in LinkedIn. I really resonate with her messages. I really want to high five Dasha as she posts these beautiful messages about us as creators of our world and taking that responsibility for who we are and how we show up and what we can create. So it's really, again, resonating with me, but I'm also really appreciating Dasha, how she challenges us in terms of our own view of ourself. And I know Dasha is a creative, a passionate about photography, and I've actually taken some inspiration from some of your posts, Dasha, and posted a few photos of myself on LinkedIn, which is not something I've done in the
I saw that.
Certainly there've been professional photos put on my LinkedIn post, but certainly not personal. So thank you for that stretch and challenge. I'm still leaning into it. So Dasha, thank you so much for being here. I'd like to pass over to you to introduce yourself to our listeners. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for having me here. I love how LinkedIn is becoming more and more a playground for like-minded people to meet, and then it grows into a co-creation moment, just like now. So it's fun. It's fun to be here. And of course, it's always fun to introduce my work. So I come from a background in photography, and I worked as a photographer for many years, probably over 10 years, as a portrait photographer. And I always like to say that that experience of being one-on-one with a person in a photo studio has prepared me more than anything else for coaching practice. And I remember when I came to my first coaching training, I had no idea what coaching was about. It was like a complete coincidence or not. I don't really believe they're coincidence in life. So I came to the training, and they started explaining, what is coaching and how it works, and then you start practicing. And I thought to myself, oh my God, this is exactly what I've been doing all these years in photography. I mean, I've been sitting in front of the other person, really looking deeply, observing and sensing and feeling. And to me, photography has always been about seeing that greatness, that essence in another human. And that is what is not everyone is capable of seeing of themselves for various different reasons. And so there's something very beautiful about the ability to see and capture and then show that on the image, the proof of that which is unseen, essentially. And so when I came to coaching, I felt like this feels so natural and such a beautiful way to continue doing my work that I've been doing already with a camera. And so the camera came with me into my coaching sessions, basically. And that's how I started experimenting with taking pictures of people in coaching sessions. And so the work grew over time, and it's still evolving. And so their method, which is my way of doing coaching, is basically an evolution of something that has started probably about 6 or 7 years ago when I became aware of what is it that I actually do in photography with other people. And so voila, I like to call myself a self-image coach, because that's what I focus the most. And I see my work is all about helping people evolve in a way that results in a different way of seeing themselves. And that kind of work on really hyper focusing on your self-awareness around what do I see when I look at myself or when I face myself. Um, that has been and is my passion, and I've seen great results and great transformations happening from the experience of really seeing the greatness that you are, that a person is. So I don't know how much further and deeper. I guess we can go in any direction. I wonder now if there is something that resonates for you and in that, and
Yeah,
so I'll take it from there.
great, Dasha. And I feel really deeply moved as you share that beautiful, metaphorical, yet powerful, yet real way that you've shared about your work, in terms of that connection between photography and coaching. Because as we always say at Empower World, we as coaches, we are the mirror for our client, reflecting back what we are noticing that our client is sharing verbally, non-verbally, very powerfully non-verbally,
Yeah.
sharing that back and being the mirror for our client so that they can really see themselves in another way and
Mhm.
and bring out those blind spots. So it's just such a beautiful way, I'm hearing, and powerful way to show another perspective through the lens, the actual camera lens of being that mirror. And
Yeah.
so I've been really, again, appreciating what you've been sharing in your LinkedIn posts about that. I've been fascinated. And so I have been looking at my images in a
Yeah.
with a different lens as well.
Mhm.
And it's, I think you shared, or maybe I shared, it potentially is uncomfortable to really look at self, not just the photos that we like and appreciate, but the photos that we also perhaps don't like and appreciate so much. And
Oh yeah.
sitting in that uncomfortableness, that's what I've been
Mhm.
practicing since we've been connecting, just actually getting more curious about those photos that perhaps don't resonate so much. So
Yeah.
what's coming up for you now, Dasha? Is like,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's I think that's why this is so important, because of how uncomfortable it is. Um, Last year I like to experiment a lot with most of my work is experimental. Everything that I've ever done has been a result of some wild idea that I would receive in the middle of the night and would post on Instagram or LinkedIn and say that, here's the idea, who wants to participate? And so last year I ran this project. It was called Self-Image Sprint, where it's totally virtual, and we did 4 or 5 groups, like four or five times in a year. We did that with a group of people. The idea was that we would take images of ourselves every day. So I would record and guide a group through a meditation every morning. And then after you come out from that meditative state, you take a photo of yourself and then you reflect. And so, and there was something very special. And I was, of course, participating in everything because I mean, all of the experiments are pretty selfish because I was so curious about like what's going to happen if I really start taking images of myself on a daily basis, and in a state that is not prepared for picture taking, right? Like there's no makeup, there is no hair, like not you're as is. Um, and it's been very healing and powerful, I have to say, to sit through the discomfort of what you see, as opposed to brushing it off, turning away, uh, sliding left, and swiping left, and or just like pretending that you don't see it, or pretending. And I think that's what we do a lot in our culture these days, that there's a lot of things that we don't like or find uncomfortable, and our immediate reaction is to turn away or disregard or just neglect and suppress, and then it grows, um, and results in all kinds of different scenarios that are much more uncomfortable than just looking at the image that you don't like. And yeah, in the end of those sprints that we ran, so I've collected all of my selfies, and I have a library. Um, all of them look, either tired or unprepared or worried or anxious, and some of them are super relaxed and not caring about what is it that being captured in the moment. And what I've learned is that it's not about finding like some sort of similarity or some sort of like a beauty in my face or beauty in my like eyes or expression. It's really about looking at it and saying, and this is too me, like, and this and this and this and this and this, and all of the pictures that I love, all of the pictures that professional photographers taken of me, yes, but this is something, that has been kept in the shadow side, um, hidden, something that I preferred not to look at for many years. To have that ability to finally face all aspects of yourself in such a very visceral way. Oh my God, I had like a profound healing moment with that. Um, yeah, and it's funny because I'm a photographer and I've photographed a lot of people all over my life, and I've seen a lot of pictures and I've seen a lot of greatness, and I know it's there, and I know it's there in me and you, and like, and when I take a picture of myself in a like a random kind of way, still there is that inner judge, inner critic saying, what, you couldn't brush your hair. But it becomes much easier after you do such exercises to say, okay, I noticed this voice in my head, and this is not who I am, or this is not only who I am, and there's so much more that I know of myself. So it's been powerful. And of course, in the sessions right now that I do with clients, I take screenshots of them on Zoom, so I don't use the camera. They don't know when they're being photographed. We basically, one session goes as a coaching session, and I shoot as I go, as a coach, without them knowing. And that's a very intuitive kind of process. It's when I feel, then I take a picture. Similarly, how you would notice that something changes in the energy of a person in front of you, and you would say, oh, what has just happened, right? Or like, what, I'm noticing something is shifting in you. In my case, instead of saying or vocalizing it, I take a photo of it. And so the second session is usually a review of images. And yes, I often, when I go to conferences and present my work, people are asking like, what, like, how do you prepare a person to face themselves? Um, and yes, we typically have a conversation about what is this picture standing for? What is it? Is it a symbol of? And then we talk about the particular state that is being captured. And when you start looking at images as, oh, this is me captured in survival mode. This is me captured in like unity consciousness, for instance, or like a state of flow. And this is me being in transition and making peace with certain things or making meaning in a new way. Then it's like a different level or layer of work with images of yourself where it becomes truly a symbol that holds meaning. And then you start kind of already distancing yourself over time um, and start like it becomes easier over time to really interact with images because you learn to detach and not to fully, completely identify with only that picture of me.
Yeah,
I
beautiful.
feel like I've been speaking a lot.
It's been
I hope this is not too confusing. I hope it's not too confusing, but if it is, feel free to find me on LinkedIn or elsewhere, and I'm happy to share more pictures and examples.
yeah, no, that's brilliant, Dasha. It's certainly making sense to me. So I'm trusting the listener will be also, it'll be making sense for them too. And
Good.
yeah, it does sound like, so what I'm hearing is that, people through your programs are learning the acceptance of all the different parts of themselves. And I'm trusting through having those conversations that those parts, those different parts, they all bring wisdom, messages, learnings, and it's about what I'm making up, acceptance of the whole of us.
Mhm.
And it's okay not to be not to be perfect. Um, it's, at the end of the day, it's not about what we look like, it's about who we truly, authentically are. And what
Absolutely. I think so. I think the very core and the goal of my work is to mm, help other people see the way I see. Um, and that doesn't come from like my ego. Oh, I'm capable of seeing something. There's part of it is just photography training and the ability to use the sense of sight in a different way. So not just looking at the surface level, but see beyond the images. And so I think if I can at least give that and transfer that knowledge or facilitate that um, evolution of sense of sight in someone, I think that's already like that's the like a massive accomplishment for me. Because then where you're going to direct your sight, yes, in different programs we look at how do you look at yourself, what do you see first, and you always start from there. And then, like in the group program I've run right now, we look at looking at oneself, but then looking at each other and seeing the group and seeing myself as a group, seeing myself as a whole, seeing myself as the oneness. So there's that kind of mm, trajectory that we follow, right? But it's all connected through the sense of sight. Because if you can learn to see yourself beyond your identity, beyond your image and label, if you can then learn to remember yourself um, as your like as pure consciousness in a sense, if you can remember yourself as that, then you can heal your relationship with titles and images and labels. And then it's almost like a comeback to reality, but in a different way where, oh, now I know I'm not a movie projected to the screen. I'm the screen, and every movie can change. And I'm not lost. I'm not broken because one movie ended and the other one hasn't started yet. And so that's why, you know, sometimes I think the self-image coaching is not quite, it doesn't do the justice to what we truly do, because it's not really self-image. It's the identity work at its very core, and separating your self-image from the greatness and the core of who you are. And that is available through seeing, through exercising that split attention and focus, where I can participate in external reality, and at the same time I can be fully aware of my connection to something bigger than me. And how cool it is that we have a sense of sight that we just don't exercise. I mean, we all have this tool. It's like sometimes I feel like we all have this tool. Let's use it. Let's use it. Let's help ourselves and each other to finally become free from the prison of mind and prison of images and labels and identities and definitions. And I mean, I think so much time we're spending trying to define ourselves. What do I do? And how do I describe? And how do I sell? And how do I market? And and there's a lot of that how, and not enough who is the I behind all of that. And I think the more attention, the more looking and seeing the I, capital I, behind all the efforts and all the doing, that's when we start shifting perception. And that's when we start creating change. Because there are two ways of looking at change, the inner and outer. So the outer will know physical reality. I go through space and time. I build something with my own hands, and my senses are here for me to define and help me understand what is real, because as long as I can see, I believe it exists. And then and that takes time, and we don't have time globally, collectively. We don't have time to make change this way, because by the time we figure it out, I mean, maybe I should not really say that, but it feels like by the time we figure out how to make change in that outer way, who knows what kind of level of climate crisis we'll be facing at that point. And then there is an inner way of changing, of creating change, and that is done through perspective shift. And I cannot change necessarily the object, but my experience of the object can change by changing my perspective. And how do I change my perspective? I change the one who is behind the seeing. So, and the trick is that you don't really need to invent that new person behind seeing. It is the act of self-remembering. So you just need to remember who you truly are. And that shifts the perspective into, like, that shifts your whole life into the act of creativity. And that's when you become a creator of everything. And therefore, if you're a creator, then you have options and choices. And then we can talk about what is it that you actually want to create, what aligns with you, and blah, blah, blah. But how cool it is, it all attached to the sense of sight. And first of all, directed towards oneself and not outward. And that is the power of coaching.
Yeah, it is. And the word that comes to mind is then freedom.
Mm-hmm.
When we realize that we have that ability to change our perspectives internally, reframe what's happening in the world, and, as you say, open up choices, because we see, hear, experience things differently. Then it does open up a world of freedom for ourselves. We're at choice, aren't we? To make our own meanings about what we see, hear, feel, experience. So, and
Mhm.
that is the beauty of coaching, to support our clients to be able to come to that place of recognizing it's up to me to create the experiences that I want to experience, the world that I want to experience. It's totally up to me. And
Yeah.
whatever experience I'm having right now is down to me based on what I'm choosing to focus on.
Mhm.
Just like that, we can change it with what, as you say, what aligns with us authentically. Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of my most favorite quotes is by Jiddu Krishnamurti. Freedom from images is real freedom, and he had several talks on that topic in the 80s. How it is because we've identified so much with our images. There's so much separation in the world, and the way to end separation is to become free from uh, identifying.
Mm. Yeah. And it's really interesting, isn't it? I'm just thinking now about social media um
Yeah.
and how potentially some people, coaches, leaders, may not want to show images of themselves. Um, or it's the other way around. They want to
Mhm.
promote what they're who they are and what they're doing. It's finding that authentic way, I believe, of showing up. And hmm, I guess I'm now what's coming in is, some people showing images that may not be authentic, but they're getting a great following. um,
Sure.
because of the sensationalism or whatever it may be. Or it's just really
Mhm.
beautiful and pretty. But
Mhm.
thinking about those who are really, they have an authentic purpose and they want to be able to bring and draw in people. So it's I guess I'm just thinking of myself, you know,
Mhm.
wanting to promote Empower World and being conscious of what I share, not wanting to seem like I'm, hey, look at me,
Mhm.
but also wanting to be authentic to show that people can also be authentic. I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense, but I'll hand over to you, Dasha, in terms of what you're perhaps um, perceiving from what I'm sharing.
Yeah. Well, I hear social media, yeah, social media experience, and how do we portray ourselves and present ourselves in the most authentic way. And um, it's, you know, there are a lot of people sharing a lot of different things. And I think this very moment is very easily or can be characterized or described by the need to um, exercise discernment and your own personal choice and establishment of your own filters, um, and the we can call it rituals of checking your own integrity. And while I understand that we're kind of in this imaginary marketplace where there are a lot of sellers, a lot of people promoting different things, um, the question I'm asking myself: what are my values and what am I standing for here? And um, can I be okay with people who follow different values? And can we coexist in this marketplace where, mm, it's like it's a reality where different polarities exist. At least I live in reality where different polarities exist in the same moment. So I can be at the same time sharing my work and my very authentic pictures on some days. On some days, I can share pictures of me taken by professional photographer with like branding and labeling, etc. And at the same time, there are people who are trying to sell things out of survival. And I also understand where they're coming from, and I've been there. And I don't believe it's my place to teach them or show them or protest against them. Um, but my way is to lead by example and really, you know, 10x my effort in my creative work and my self-expression, um, and my desire to inspire others with my relationship to my own image. And I see it as the only way for me to be in social media as well. And the fact that some people, I'm not inviting anyone into, oh, let's stretch ourselves so far and start sharing the most uncomfortable pictures of ourselves and see what happens. I'm only inviting you for your inner journey, which is to be honored and given space to. Do you want to give it space on social media? Please be my guest. Um, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
So, there's, I think, we have to be very, or I need to be careful with noticing those dualities, especially when I approach social media. Oh, am I this or this? Or will I be this or that if I do this or that? And it's never black on white. It's everything, but most important to me is I am in integrity with myself. So I am, prior to sharing something, I'm checking whether this aligns with me and resonates with what I stand for. And that's good enough for me to, like, that's good enough mark to check and say hit send, submit, post, etc. And that makes it very easy to then just, show up and follow your heart, because it is a creative pursuit, and creative pursuit is about me being a vessel. It's never about me. I mean, it's never about my ego. It's about receiving something and transferring it next to the next person. So what's the point of me getting stuck in, oh, what these people think about what I post or what images, like, but, and then also I believe in experiments. Like, there's fun and joy in just trying different things, hiring different photographers, using your cell phone, using your camera, using your Zoom, like all kinds of different, because we're so multifaceted beings, uh, and taking pictures is one way to honor that
Mm.
palette of self.
Yeah, beautifully articulated after perhaps not my very good articulation of what I shared. But I love what you picked up. And the key thing that I'm taking here is that, it's really being aligned to your highest values, your purpose, and so anything that you are posting out there is just checking in with self. Does it align? No matter what
Mhm.
the post is, does it align with who you are authentically? And if it does, and it's not about um, being caught up with what others might think about self as I post this. So it's again removing that judgment. It's and really being authentic and leading. What's the word I'm looking for? Being that role model,
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
leading with integrity. Yeah. Thank you, Dasha. So potentially time to wrap up. I'm wondering what might be a message that you'd like to share with our listeners as we start to wrap up. What would might you share?
Wow, that's that's a big question. I feel like we've been sharing a lot already, as far as the importance of as far as the importance of seeing, really. I think what I've been really reflecting on is the fact that there's always a choice where to go next, what to do with oneself, um, how to rebuild my new identity. I see a lot of people losing themselves in the identity crisis due to loss of job, change of government, um, just general life transitioning, and and it's hard to see through it when we're so embedded in the experience itself. And if anyone that is listening to us today, I invite you to really consider your self-image as a gateway, as a door opening to a different reality. And that reality is just trust. It's available to you as soon as you start pointing your attention inward and really making an effort to remember yourself before you were told whom you need to be in order to be someone in this world. And that is the true self-image. That is the identity with capital I. And once we find the ground in that, then you'll see how many choices are there for you. And you are the source. You are the source. It's by really looking deeply and giving yourself that attention, which doesn't come always naturally to us in a state of crisis or panicking or anxiety. But it's that next time you pass by the mirror, give yourself that little moment and consider that you are the opening and make that effort to see beyond what you've told yourself to be seeing every day. See beyond the reactions, the thoughts, just that it's a moment. It doesn't have to take that transition, that transformation doesn't have to take forever. It can be that split of a second, but really the pure attention to to what you know yourself to be, and that's a deeper knowing I'm referring to. And yeah, so that would be my message to the world.
Yeah, really, really powerful, Dasha. Thank you for sharing that amazing message. And I trust our listeners will find that very empowering if they choose to take that on board, which certainly I am. So thank you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and insights and your experience and the lovely work that more than lovely, it's very what I'm hearing, very empowering work. And I hope I can sign up to your next workshop. And
Well, if you're coming to Converge, I'll be presenting there. So if you guys are there, I'm there. So and yeah, there will be. I'm planning to make this work open source, more or less. So there will be more videos and explanations of what is it that I do in the sessions, and the kind of like a deeper version of what we talked about today. So yeah, there's more to come.
yes, well, congratulations on presenting at Converge. What an exciting
Yeah,
opportunity. Yeah. Thank you, Dasha. Really appreciate, again, everything that you brought into our session today. Really powerful. And listeners, of course, below this video or audio, wherever you're finding us, you'll find Dasha's contact details so that you can touch base with her if you choose. So thank you, Dasha. Really appreciate you
perfect.
being.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening. You can find out more about us
on our website www.empower-world.com and on our social media networks Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube. Be empowered.